Hello, and welcome to another edition of AircraftPost's Rousseau Report. I'm your host, Dennis Rousseau, and today we're going to share a few fun facts and thoughts about Embraer's Legacy 450, 500, and their successors, the Praetor 500 and Praetor 600. However, before we begin, I'd like to speak to fly-by-wire, which these Embraer products do incorporate. Aircraft have mechanical connections between the pilot's yoke and the control surfaces, which are the ailerons, elevator, and rudder. When one yoke moves, so does the other. These conventional systems are heavy. They use pulleys, cables, and require redundant backup, which further increases weight. Fly-by-wire systems replace the mechanical connection between the pilot and control surface with one that's electronic, offering considerable weight savings and reduced maintenance. The way it works, you initiate a command by moving the side stick, or conventional yoke, as is the case with the G650. And let's say you're going to climb or descend. You move the side stick accordingly, fore or aft, which in turn sends an electronic signal by wire to an elevator actuator, commanding it to move. Believe it or not, fly-by-wire has been around since 1941 and was first used in commercial aviation with the supersonic Concorde in 1969. And yes, as scary as it sounds, the system is controlled by computers. And if you haven't seen the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey, watch it. As you've heard me say throughout our videos, these fly-by-wire business jets have double and triple redundancy. And in the event of a complete failure, they can revert to mechanical backup. I've spoke of FADEC in the past, which is a computer that controls engines. And with fly-by-wire, it's a computer that controls the primary flight controls. The aircraft shown are all full fly-by-wire. However, they continue to use linked yokes and control columns, so pilots can see the controls move. These are called active control sticks, and clearly enhance situational awareness. Airbus and Embraer side sticks are passive, meaning they're not linked together so they don't move in unison and pilots don't get the sense of what the other one's doing. As a result, passive side sticks don't convey enough information to the pilot not flying, which I'll address in a moment when we delve into the accident history. In 2008, Embraer launched the Legacy 450 and Legacy 500 to compete in the midsize and super midsize business jet categories, respectively. Both models share the Collins Fusion avionics and the Honeywell HTF 7000 engines, which are maintained on condition. The major differentiators are overall length, range, and passenger load. The Legacy 450 accommodates 6 passengers in the main cabin with a double club forward, 2 forward-facing seats aft, and single side-facing seat opposite the entry door, whereas the 500 has a 2-zone cabin with 4 singles and a club arrangement forward and 2 singles opposite a 3-place divan aft. And both models, have an aft vacuum lavatory. As the fuselage cross-sections are the same, they also share a 6-foot cabin height and 6-foot 10-inch cabin width. The cockpits are equipped with the Collins Proline Fusion, which is also used on the Global 5500, 6500, and 7500, and Gulfstream's G280, which is one of the competitors to the Legacy 500/Praetor 600. As you can see, the cockpit has a very clean, uncluttered look with 4 15-inch LCDs. Just below the primary flight display on the pilot and co-pilot side, you have 2 optional pull-out tables, which make for a great workstation while in flight. Auto throttles, auto brakes are standard. The auto throttles are integrated with the FMS, which sends commands to position the levers for thrust and speed. The aircraft can be equipped with the optional Collins HUD EVS for $550,000. The EVS camera can be seen here mounted on the nose of a 450. Total system weight, 39 pounds. Now, the reason I mention weight is that Embraer quotes the range of performance referencing a baseline aircraft, and options are not included in the $17 million price, or standard basic operating weight. As a result, when they quote a range of 2,300 nautical miles, buyer beware. You're going to have options, and with each one you add weight, and there's a range and performance penalty. The main competitor to the Legacy 450 is the Citation Latitude, which gives the 450 a run for its money. First and foremost, Embraer has been very clear they do not discount. You pay the list price plus options, and that's one of the main reasons Cessna delivered 267 aircraft to Embraer's 70 over the same 5-year period. The other is the Latitude offers 500 miles more range, although the average stage length for both aircraft is a mere 1.8 to 1. To Embraer's credit, they offer a couple options not available on the Latitude, such as HUD and EVS, although both have synthetic vision heads down. When we look at the cabins, both offer a 6-foot cabin height, club seating plus 2. I think overall, Cessna has been selling to the North American buyer for over 40 years and knows what buyers want. So in response to the Cessna range advantage, Embraer embarked on a mod program, and via service bulletin, for $500,000, you get a 3-inch taller winglet, which is bolted on, making it easier to replace in the event, and 2 additional fuselage fuel tanks to better compete with the Latitude's range. But keep in mind, at an average stage length of 1.8 hours, buyers aren't looking for more range on a mid-sized jet that can already deliver over 2,000 miles range. The cabin and galley are not equipped for 3,000 miles, which I'll circle back to next. With the service bulletin, Embraer rebranded the aircraft the Praetor 500, and the 450 bites the dust. The reason I say that is that although Embraer stated they would continue production of the Legacy 450 as long as there were buyers, when you try to access the 450 on their website, it states, our currently produced portfolio for the mid-size class consists of the Praetor 500. So I would surmise there weren't any buyers. The aircraft comes standard, with a 7-passenger interior consisting of 6 singles in the main cabin and a single side-facing seat opposite the entry door. As an option, you can replace the single seat with a 2-place, 60-pound divan, or you can install a 134-pound wet galley for $130,000. And now you have a comfortable 6-place interior. With the 2-place divan option, you're limited to a refreshment center on the left-hand side. And this is why I say it's not a 5-hour aircraft. This is rather unique in that you can option an observer seat for $92,000. Just remove the shelves in the closet and you have a cozy little cubby for 5 hours. Just kidding. Now on to the larger Legacy 500 that received agency certification August 2014, 1 year before the 450, and is also powered by Honeywell's HTF 7500 FADEC engines. The 500's main competitors are Bombardier's Challenger 350 and one of my favorites, Cessna's new Longitude and the Gulfstream G280. As mentioned, the 500 is 3 feet 4 inches longer than the 450, which translates into an additional 8 inches in the main cabin length. Standard interior is a forward wet galley, 4 singles in a club arrangement, 2 singles opposite a 3-place divan aft, and an aft vacuum lavatory. As you enter the cabin, the forward galley is directly across on the right-hand side and is well equipped for its stated mission. The 16-foot main cabin offers a flat floor and 6 feet cabin height the entire length. In addition to its 110 cubic foot external baggage compartment, the 500 also has a floor-to-ceiling closet co-located in the aft lavatory between the sink on the left-hand side and toilet on the right. And once again, to Embraer's credit, and the only one in class, they installed the emergency exit in the lav, so the aft cabin seats are fully articulating, unlike the competition, where the aftmost seat has limited movement and smaller pull-out tables. The 500 fit quite well in the super mid-size class, but for some reason, Embraer wanted the aircraft to have more range. So similar to the 450, they added fuselage belly tanks and taller winglets, which increased range plus or minus 500 miles. As you can see, the overall length is unchanged, but the wingspan increases 4 feet, which also contributes to the added range. And in 2019, they renamed the aircraft Praetor 600. And because the only differences between the 500 and 600 are the 2-foot 1-inch winglets and fuel tanks, it's very difficult to tell the difference between the two aircraft until you take a closer look and notice the skid plate, which is required due to the location of the fuel tanks in the event of a gear-up landing. By viewing a range map, we get a better idea of the range for each respective model, and it's quite clear that with 4 passengers, they all have transcontinental range. And although Embraer advertises a 3,900 nautical mile range for the 600 at a normal cruise of 0.80, it's closer to 3,600 miles, which still beats the G280 at 3,420, but once again, the average stage length for aircraft in this class is 1.8 hours. You'll also notice the 350 and 280 entry into service the same year as the 500, yet Embraer was only able to deliver 88 aircraft, compared to 369 Challenger 350s and 250 G280s. How does the pre-owned market fare for the 500? There are 3 available aircraft with 2 at make offer, and 1 with an ask price of $13.9 million. Average days on the market, a whopping 430. There have been 2 pre-owned sales in the last 6 months, with an average selling price of $11.8 million. One sold in the low 10s, and the other just slightly north of 13. From a residual value perspective, the 500 is not doing very well, considering a list price new of $20 million in 2015. It's now selling for 11.2, losing 44%, or 8.8 million in just 5 years. And as you've heard me say before, flying 400 hours per year, that equates to $4,400 per hour in market depreciation. There's been one accident involving a Legacy 500 that happened in November 2017. Prior to departing Moscow, the crew had the aircraft de-iced. Then prior to starting the engines, they activated the ice protection to all, which triggered a failure warning. So they changed the selector to auto, which made the message disappear. Aircraft flight manual clearly states you're not to set the ice protection mode until the engines are started. So during the climb, the anti-icing in-op message appeared again, and they disregarded it. When on the glide path to Le Bourget, the aircraft flew under the glide slope, and trying to correct the situation, the pilot flying is choking the yoke back forward, trying to turn the autopilot on. Then he tries to flare, and the aircraft wanted no part in any of that. And he made a hard landing with the nose gear touching down first, which triggered a landing gear warning. End result, the attached fitting on the right gear sheared off due to substantial loads, and the strut went through the wing. Thankfully, all walked away, and the cause was contributed to pilot error. So with 35 Praetor 600s in service, let's see how the added range contributes to increased sales. Now, let's get on our Praetor 500. You do notice the winglets, right? And get out of town. For AircraftPost's Rousseau Report, I'm Dennis Rousseau. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.